Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Championship Check-In podcast with myself, Benjamin Bloom, and the great Sam Parkin. And I've got like end of term feel, Sam, because it's the end of a block of games and we can kind of chill out for a couple of weeks. It is international break time. How you doing, Sam?
Yeah, really good, mate. Yeah. No, it's been good, hasn't it? Enjoyed Friday, Sunderland Leeds. Been busy. And yeah, it feels a bit weird, doesn't it, having another international break? I know they are frequently this time of year, but yeah, it feels like a bit of a disrupted start to the season. But I would be imagining there's quite a few weary legs across the Championship at the moment, so they'll probably be happy for a little rest.
Yeah, very, very much so, especially at the end of the first 3-game week and the way the weather's been, hasn't it? I've got some results for you, Sam. I've got 12 of them, as ever in the Championship this past round. It was Sunderland 2, Leeds 2 in the blockbuster on Friday night. Burnley 0, Preston 0, Norwich 4, Hull 0. It was Pompey 1, Oxford 1, Coventry 1, Sheffield Wednesday 2, late in the day, Derby 2, QPR 0, Plymouth 2, Blackburn 1, late in the day. Sheffield United 2, Luton 0, Swans 0, Stoke 0. So quite a few draws this round, Sam. Watford 2, Borough 1, West Brom 0, Millwall 0, and Bristol City 1, Cardiff 1. A lovely lot of results for us to go ahead and select PARKIN'S pick. What you got for me, boss?
Well, I think there'd be a strong argument to say this was the most impressive victory of the weekend, possibly. And thankfully, it was the one I was working on. So we're going to go Norwich after beating Hull 4-0.
I said, Sam, on my Hot Takes video yesterday, slight little echoes of 2018-19 here. I'm not saying it's going to end in the fireworks and the glory of Norwich just storming to that unlikely title win. But what we have got, Sam, is a team that ran out of parachute payments that were in a reset. I accept that Farker was in his second season when the parachute payments ran out. But we've got Johannes Hoff Torup in his first season there. Things just starting to develop. And not that I'm saying Borja Science is going to output what Emi Buendia did, but we've got some pretty stunning star performances. Sam, are Norwich now promotion dark horses?
Oof. Well, the way they're playing and what I witnessed on Saturday, you'd have to say they've got a chance. Whether they're going to be consistent enough with a new team to be automatic promotion contenders is probably a big shout at this stage, considering we're only a handful of games in. But I think in all departments, really, what I saw at the weekend was incredibly impressive. I can't really find too many weaknesses. The role of the fullback's interesting, and that's a reoccurring theme whenever you're talking about football now. But having watched
another 2019 callback with what Aarons and Lewis were doing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, slightly different in that Doyle and Fisher are coming in field a little bit as well, but the starting positions are high. We've seen Doyle be a brilliant centre-half, left-sided centre-half. At times at Leicester, he'd have to go out towards the touchline, given the way that they played under Maresca. But interesting to see him being given a bit of license to be a bit more of an attacking threat, which I thought was quite eye-catching from the off, actually. Fisher on the other side, that's a lovely story amongst all these players that they've plucked from different leagues across the world. A lad from Bromley, I think 20 years old, and he is quickly becoming a real fan's favourite. Tenacious, good enough on the ball. Another terrific performance from him. Duffy, I think, would have been questioned coming into this season whether he can be good enough with the ball. He's absolutely showing that he's more than adequate in that department. And then you go further forward. Kenny McLean, former teammate of mine, is obviously the kind of deep line midfielder now. So he's the one that's having to be quite tenacious, ball winning at times, but he's really enjoying it. And he cruised Saturday. He absolutely cruised it. And I think that was a sign of the gulf between the two sides, really. He hardly broke sweat. You got two pushed on midfielders in Nunez and Slimani. Nunez is purring at the moment. Thought that was a brilliant goal from him. You can't give him or Sainz that type of space from distance. I think we've seen that across the last year or two. Those two are brilliant exponents from range of striking a ball. Another brilliant goal. Sianak on one side, not quite fully at it yet, but I think the signs that he will improve, and obviously he's playing second fiddle a little bit to what Sainz is providing on the other side, which is, incredible return of goals, assists, probably one of the best players in there.
Sam, how good is he? I know we go Buendia, Mitrovic, Tarab downwards, don't we? Is he a proper cheat code?
I think he's full of confidence right now. We'll have to see if he can sustain it. What I like is he's getting different types of goals. The combination between him and Sargent is incredibly fruitful, mouth-watering really for the Norwich fans, the amount of goals they're combining for. What it is about Norwich, though, if I speak about them as a unit, I think it's the way they want to play forward with a purpose, and they're happy to be in their shape and then spring with incredible pace. So it's not possession obsessed. They want to go forward. And when you're up against a team in Hull who, for me, are too attack minded, they're too open, they're too disjointed, they lack pace in the back line, they're going to score goals, Hull, and it's going to be good fun. And I think we've seen that already. But I think given that it was a 3-game week and that they had to travel to QPR previously, I think Norwich were the worst possible opponent for Hull at this moment. I think they need to really consider how they're approaching these away games, Hull, with the lack of bite in midfield. They play with 2 pushed on midfielders as well. Malem's a nice footballer. He wants to do things in the final third. Slater kind of pushes on and goes and closes, so he's not sitting alongside Zambrano. So they were bypassed so easily. And obviously the lack of pace when you're up against Sargent, who is that perfect modern day forward who can link it, who can score goals, but most importantly, he can run, and he can run behind, and he can run behind with pace. And when you see a centre half taken off at half time, that tells the story a little bit. And young Hughes, who came on for Hull, it didn't improve, unfortunately. It was a testing afternoon for him in terms of giving the ball away, and costly ones as well because Norwich punished. So, yeah, I think the perfect opponent on the day, but the pace that Norwich are playing with, the patterns and the confidence levels of the forward players made it a perfect fit, really, at the weekend. So we'll see what the weeks ahead hold. But, yeah, just to finish, contrasting, really, when you think that these are new teams, if I can use that, new managers that have had pretty similar times to get their sides going, the gulf was pretty vast at the weekend.
Very interested that you used that word golf twice now. I snorted when you first said it, but given your explanation, I get it. So, to Sam's point, Norwich are just outside the playoffs in 7th. The next block, and we really get busy now, Sam. It's like 3-game week. If you're in the EFL Cup, I think you've got 3 of them in a row, which is brutal. It's 6 games. Let us know in the comments, are Norwich going to be higher or lower than 7th? They go to Stoke, to Preston, and then host Middlesbrough in the first 3-game week. Then there's a gap, and it's a 3-game week again. They go to Cardiff, Sheffield Wednesday. Scheduling does not help them. If you heard Sam's points on the last podcast about, going away, home is very hard in those 3-game weeks, and it's Bristol City to round it out. Let us know in the comments. Sam was very impressed by Norwich. I have been too. Are they going to be promotion dark horses? Sam, no public apology needed this week, which means the predictions have gone quite well. But I think you will all understand the return of Meltdown Moment has to go back in the running order this week. Oh my God. Surely the craziest moment in the championship season so far happened on Friday night. Sam, I want to get your take specifically on the moment and specifically what will have happened in the dressing room after, because I think you've got far better insight on that than I can give. I can give you some insight on the game because I did it on the watch along. And I think we should probably be sat here saying that should have been a statement win for Leeds without their 2 first-choice midfielders to go into the cauldron where they haven't even conceded a goal, play that out, get the win, 2-1, which I had on the bloody predictions as well. But Sam, talk to me about the error, why it happened. Talk to me about Junior Firpo's reaction, because obviously he'd scored what would have been the winning goal and it deflected off him as well, straight down the tunnel, furious, understandable, I guess. And talk to me about what would have happened, like the next 15 minutes in the dressing room.
Yeah, I've seen a lot on social media and read a fair few bits and bobs in the aftermath of this. And yeah, I think Junior Firpo's reaction is probably understandable in the heat of the moment. He scored the goal as well. You're on the cusp of, as you say, a massive victory, I think, given the week that they'd had leading into it. So emotions are so high at that moment. He probably regretted it, maybe not straight away in the dressing room, but maybe the day after or this morning when he goes in to training, or they'll be off, won't they? Some of them are around the globe now, so it'll be a splintered group when they're back in training this week. So he might not have to do his apology for a while, if indeed at all. The dressing room after the game, well, it's a really emotive place. I don't think Daniel Farke would have drawn particular attention to that. I don't think you have to.
To Firpo or to Meslier?
To Meslier. Yeah, to Meslier. I think he'd probably draw on the fact that it was a very good performance, an eye-catching performance. I think a performance which had loads of good stuff going forward. I thought Nonto was really at it. I thought Ramazani was at it. I thought there's really good rotational play between the front players. It's quite difficult. They're quite elusive, those guys, in terms of the positions they take up. I thought Rothwell played some delicious passes for someone who maybe coming in wasn't going to be an automatic choice. I thought that was really encouraging, the way that he played. And from the point of view that they made Sunderland run out of ideas to a degree in that second half, I thought they managed it really well. It became scrappy. Everything you're trying to do, really, when it's a nip and tuck game between two teams that are potentially going to be challenging. So obviously it probably was a fortunate point for Sunderland in respect of what I've just said. The actual incident, I mean, I've had a Leeds supporting friend of mine messaged me this morning, actually. He lives in Australia now. He was a journalist, John Ritson, when I was playing at Swindon. Still in touch, and he loves the show. And he said it hits a sprinkler. And I haven't done enough digging yet to see if there's anything in that, or a sprinkler head, or something in the turf. Maybe he's just pulling my leg. But it was a bizarre incident, which I'm sure you turned away to a degree. I mean, I know you were working, but I kind of turned away, almost like, got up off the sofa to get ready for bed, because I thought that was that. And it obviously goes into the net. So it's a bit of a freak, whether he was thinking about his distribution, whether it has taken a slightly funny bounce. It looked like his body position, I'm no goalkeeper, but it looked like maybe he wasn't kind of fully in line, because sometimes you could maybe get your body in the way, or, you can redeem the situation. It looked like he was slightly out, maybe a yard to the left of the ball. So, yeah, I've been in dressing rooms where a goalkeeper has continually cost you, and the players have said something in the dressing room, and I didn't necessarily agree with that. It's a team game. It's the manager. If the manager keeps picking a player who's costing you points, has to take a portion of the blame as well. If someone's not performing their role adequately, they should be taken out of the firing line. Sorry. So that's something to keep an eye on, because Meslier has made some high-profile mistakes, but he's also capable of the spectacular.
He'll be in next game, won't he?
Yeah, you would have thought so.
If you take him out after that, he's done, isn't he? You can't bring him. You can't drop him and then bring him back in 5 games later or whatever.
I think the natural way to approach that as a manager would be to put your arm around him and put him in for the next 2 or 3 games. And if there's a few mistakes that start becoming a regular occurrence, then you take him out. But yeah, I think, as I said, I mean, they've been pretty magnificent defensively so far this season. Majority of last season as well. and as I say, he's very capable, isn't he? Of the brilliant. These things happen from time to time with him. I think, you know, the Leeds fans would know better than me. I think kind of universally the opinion of Meslier is that he's a little bit hit and miss. I think that would be the general thought process, and that they could maybe upgrade if they are to get back in the Premier League. But yeah, I wouldn't be too hard on him for what is, you know, an incredible moment and one of the worst errors we've seen maybe since old Enkelman, my mate, who became my teammate in Scotland once upon a time. Similar.
Did he? Which team?
St Johnstone, yeah.
Wow.
Very capable goalkeeper, actually. You know, someone technically very, very good. Enkelman, apart from when he's dealing with a thrown back pass or whatever it was that day.
It's so difficult, Sam. The guy for Derby, Zetterstrom, is getting all the plaudits. He looks amazing, doesn't he? But being in goal for Derby and being in goal for Leeds are just two entirely different things. Where the players are going to be in front of you and the amount of work you do and the type of work you do is totally different. It's all for a team that is going to be towards the top of the league and has a lot of the ball. It's all just the moments. And I think that's maybe the struggle that Meslier is having.
I suppose that's the one biggest component of the top goalkeepers, isn't it? Is the concentration when you're having to make, you know, Peter Cech having to make one save per game, you know, when it's on a bit of a knife edge, it's coming up with those big moments. So yeah, I thought tactically that first half was really interesting with Dan Neil dropping back for Sunderland, not something, despite all the different tactical setups now and philosophies that are in the game. I've not seen that too readily, so that was quite interesting. You know, obviously nominally a back four Sunderland, and then you're holding midfield player kind of without the ball when Leeds were probing. Dan Neil back into a back five. So I think it had a little bit of an effect on them for the first goal. Piru, I think they looked a little bit disjointed as to their line and who needed to be picking up the centre forward. So obviously it didn't work brilliantly, but you know, another example of the clever thinking or the clever meticulous planning that the Sunderland new manager seems to be going to.
Yeah, and certainly never a dull moment, and some great talking points for us from Sunderland to Leeds to get your thoughts in via the comments on that. As we go to, we need to talk about. And we need to talk about, Sam, statistically, the best team in the Championship is Sheffield United. And Chris Wilder has joked about the real table that he's going to be looking at. Obviously, a minus 2 points deduction means the Blades are not top of the league. But they would have, if you're going to do points per game, they are the best team in the division. Sam, they're 9 unbeaten, 6 clean sheets in a row. And from what I understand of the 2-0 win over Luton, just completely routine. They were the better side throughout and super, super comfortable. What can we expect from Sheffield United? How long can the undefeated streak go, Sam? Because the two things I've heard, one, light squad-wise in terms of a goal scorer, and Big Keeper Moore has been sensational at Championship level, but often needs Robin to his Batman to help get through the season. And in respect to that undefeated streak, Sam, and the clean sheets, next 2 games for Sheffield United when we get back are Leeds away and away. So factor that into your answer. Full of Sheffield United, but I asked you, how long can this undefeated streak go? Do the praise first.
Well, I'm not sure they're going to get to the end of October, would be my honest answer. But that's not to say that it's been a brilliant start. I think I checked the odds on the eve of the season. I think they were 16-1 for, I'm not sure if it was promotion or the title, but that's looking pretty ridiculous now. Yeah, I mean, look at the signings coming through the door, and I'm probably, in a fortunate, decent place to comment on some of the lads coming in from the lower levels. Eye-catching signings, in my opinion. See Harrison Burrows, someone like that. Not to do him a disservice, but Michael Cooper, Callum O'Hare coming in from teams in the Championship, good teams. Coventry have been knocking on the door, of course, but it's a different proposition. I think going to Sheffield United in terms of the ambition and the realistic proposition of getting in the Premier League this season. So some really eye-catching signings. I think Michael Cooper's conceded the one goal since he stepped in, and he's been someone that I think anyone who's watched League One Championship football
so good, yeah,
has expected him to probably go right to the top. I really like him. And Raksaki, despite those being his first goals on his birthday, I understand. I think, I can't remember who I said this about last year, but I think probably the chaps that ended the season up front for Hull after the window, Carvalho and Philogene and Zaruri. He is one of the best loan signings I think you can get in the Championship when you consider what he's done so far in his young career. Ripped it up at Charlton, on the fringe of getting opportunities at Palace. He will be a match winner throughout this season, and it feels like despite him not scoring to this point, the Sheffield United fans have been really encouraged with his performances. So it was just about putting the icing on the cake, or whatever the phrase is. So yeah, it was his day at the weekend, but they looked hugely in command. And yeah, defensively, 6 consecutive clean sheets now, a wonderful blossoming partnership between Suter, Armin Hodgic. Different setup tactically as well. I think Brewster played as a 10. He's played wide. Maybe, and I'm not going to read too much into it, but just taking that pressure away, from him being the nominal centre forward and all that pressure that it brings. And we know he's not scoring goals. Maybe he can find his form in a different role for the team, and that will benefit them in the long run. And I think sometimes that could be clever management. But I probably do take your point about the striker because, yeah, Kiefer Moore, you're going to need a different option. And you're going to want, other goals coming from other places, because I don't think he's going to get you 20, even in one of the better sides in the division. But yeah, I mean, incredibly impressive, and more fool us for not taking Chris Wilder side seriously in the second tier. I mean, he's been around for too long. Tactically, we know he's innovative, I presume. But
has he got Alan Neil with him again?
Yeah. In my experience of him, seems like a top guy. And I think Chris Wilder, there's not many better motivators, is there? I wouldn't imagine in the Championship. So yeah, it's been a phenomenal start. Really worrying for Luton. I understand the amount of defeats over the last 20, 25 games. I get that, but they won 2 games recently. But it is a worry. It is a worry, and it does feel like something needs to change. And I'm not talking about the manager, just talking about probably tactically or stripping it back a little bit. I think the Luton fans feel that they've just lost a little bit of that fight and a little bit of what has made them such a difficult team to face over the last 2 or 3 seasons, that intensity. So I think there'll be, some tough days in the week or 2 ahead with no football for Luton, players, hierarchy, everyone. But it's probably not the worst time to have a little bit of a break and just to refresh 1 or 2 ideas and really attack it after the break. Because it's sad to see, really, the atmosphere, as it is at the moment, when you consider what it has been for the last 2-3 years, even longer. And I think there has to be, and again, I know the results are poor and I know the expectation changes, but the reality is this is a tough league. This is a tough league to get out of. And some of those lads are just going to have to refocus after a year in the Premier League. And it can't be easy. Never happened to me. Can't be easy just to switch on and off. All of a sudden you're back. Tough games in the Championship. A lot of travelling, a lot of games. And it's a competitive league. So, yeah, I hope they can turn it around. But it's looking like it might be a season where they're just going to have to consolidate.
You just close out on Sheffield United for me, Sam, so you can understand Blades fans being super excited, super high at the moment. What can they realistically want, expect, need from that first 3-game week back? Leeds away, Borough away, Stoke at home.
Well, Leeds is going to be a huge game, isn't it, at this level? So that would, to a degree, take care of itself. It'll be hard fought. It'll be an electric atmosphere. Friday night as well. They're not conceding. So if anyone can go and limit the chances that Leeds
neither side are
create, so it'll be a tight game. But it would be very much a statement win if they could take maximum points. I mean, if they can remain unbeaten there, I think you take it. I think you'd have to take it, and then bank on winning the majority of your home games. But it's early days. But I just think for everyone, just to remain unbeaten would be a lovely thing from those 2 games. I mean, you get 4 points from those 2 games. That would be an incredible return. Yeah, incredible return. I mean, even if you took 3. But I think 2 minimum, and they're motoring. That's an unbeaten, what, 3 months to start the season. It's not bad going, is it?
That would do you, won't it? Give us your thoughts in the comments. We'll clip that one out. How long can Sheffield United go undefeated? Brilliant start. Fair play to the Blades. Let's move on to Worldie of the Week. I've put my complaint into HR. All sorts of abuse from Sam Parkin after my selections for Worldie of the Week. I thought it was just the YouTube comments I got that from. So what I'll do, Sam, is I'll tell you the results of the poll, and you can tell me the ones I've neglected to put in. Just in my defence, I did this Sunday morning, before the Tanner goal for Cardiff City. Okay. So I put up on the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel community tab. You can see the results there on the screen. If you're listening on the audio feed, check that out. So I put 4 goals up. O'Mahony's diving header for Pompey got 7%. Marcus Harness for Derby versus QPR, which Sam furiously tells me is the wrong goal selected from that game, but we'll let him have his say in a minute, got 22%. Nunes from the game that Sam was brilliantly on co-coms for, 33%. And the winner on my poll was Gassama slamming it in the top corner for Sheffield Wednesday at Coventry. But Sam, other opinions are allowed, and you disagree.
I mean, I thought it was a pretty good week now, all told.
Maybe I was a bit grumpy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It reminded me when you were speaking there of that Brian Clough, that famous Brian Clough quote when the journalist asked, what happens if someone comes to you and says you're doing something wrong? And he says, well, we get together, we get down to it, we talk about it for 20 minutes, and then we decide I was right.
I'm right. Yeah.
So I've done your top 5 this week, but I love the Curtis Nelson header. I mean, it's against my mob, but my goodness me. And, I can't remember one specific header that I scored in my professional career like that. But I remember a few, in my kind of youth team days when that free kick or corner kick is coming in from wide and you see it all the way and you get up and it's prime and you just meet it perfectly.
He's about 20 yards out as well, isn't he?
It's an astonishing leap. I mean, it's abysmal.
Can we mention Kevin Beattie here? Kevin Beattie scored one from that area for Ipswich, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute peach of a header. I loved it. It's right up there for me. But I think Tanner probably pips him. I think Tanner's is the best goal. He's shown sparingly, albeit that he's very capable of this type of thing. It was a shame the 2 Bristol City defenders didn't go to the deck when they went for their cup of tea. But it was still nice to see the 2 of them turned inside out and then a rasping finish. The first little bit of skill was lovely as well. So I would think that might be the best. I'll give you my top 5 this week just for the hell of it.
Love it.
I'm going to go Sainz in 5th. I mean, beautiful finish, but he missed a 1-on-1 early in the game. I'm still annoyed about that. 4th, I'd probably go Nunez, same game. Very tight. Harness third. Second Nelson. Top of the pops, Tanner.
So no Gassama in there at all, which was the winner of my poll. There
Who, sorry?
Gassama for Wednesday.
I think I've only seen it once. It was the right foot, roof
right
of the
foot, smashed it. Yeah, just top cornered it. Yeah,
I'll put him in joint fourth just because I think I was nodding off when I was watching the highlights. But yeah, I think I was more interested and intrigued about Danny Roll shunning the handshake to do a little David Pleat run onto the pitch, which I enjoyed. There's one for the kids. Luton staying in the division and
Radiantish, main road. Beautiful stuff. Sam, before we go to cause for concern, can I just quick mention for Watford, who are in the top 6 at international break too. The Watford fans always have a pop at me when I don't predict them to win home games, because apparently their home record is magnificent. And this idea with Tom Cleverley that he's just some kind of yes man, and if he gets good results, it's a fluke, and the Potsos have just put their guy in there. It's kind of turned out to be wrong, isn't it? And he's, to go toe to toe with Carrick and Borough's team and win from behind, he's doing a really good job, Cleverley, isn't he?
Yeah, especially on the back of such a disappointment at Preston North End, where he pulled no punches. You could tell from his demeanour he was completely dissatisfied with that performance. Probably both sides of it. They didn't finish off some really presentable chances, and defensively, Preston North End haven't scored more than one in any game this season. So that was, incredibly disappointing for him. Really interesting team. First thing to note that he made, it looks like, multiple changes, which shows bravery and shows the dissatisfaction that he's had with that performance. But enormous credit to him. I would imagine everyone universally outside of Vicarage Road would have expected him to be the first manager to go, and started brilliantly. So good on him. And it's without my Luton hat on, it's good to have the Watford fans enjoying it and feeling that there's a bit of togetherness for possibly the first time in many a year. So whether they can sustain it, I'm still not so sure. I think a season in mid-table would be a success probably. But who knows? Who knows? The last few years have shown us, with Luton and Coventry playing at a playoff final, anything's possible in this league.
It is indeed. Before we go to cause for concern, I'll do one more shout out as well. Just when you said about first manager to be sacked, wasn't due to be Tom Cleverley. It was due to be Wayne Rooney. And we've talked about him plenty, so we won't do it again. But
former teammates, no less, I would imagine.
Yeah, most.
Just quickly on the home form one, Norwich, I think that's up to 23 in all competitions. I think it's 20 in the Championship, unbeaten since they lost to Blackburn.
And that Blackburn game was the one we all outlined to say, he's definitely going to get sacked, David Wagner, wasn't it? I didn't realise it was that long.
I'm including, obviously, a League Cup game in there. I think a playoff game as well. So I think I scribbled it down at the weekend. I think it was 19 in the league prior to Saturday. So that's 20 now, unbeaten in the Championship. That is some going, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, I didn't realise it was that long. So there you go. Shout out for Norwich home form. Shout out for Tom Cleverley and shout out for Wayne Rooney. And we don't get to talk about everybody's club every show, unfortunately, but we do get to talk about Sam's club in Cause for Concern. We look on every 3-game week, don't we, Sam? Can anyone get 9 points? No, did they? Can anybody get 7 points? And is anybody going to have the indignity of scoring 0 points? Well, 23 out of the 24 teams avoided the indignity of scoring 0 points. QPR didn't. Sam, I'm so disappointed with this now because we thought old school QPR is done from the last decade. We got this new thing, boardroom level, management level, all joined up thinking, great end to last season. They're back. Why are they so bad, Sam? 1 win in 9.
Yeah, well, I've only seen him in the flesh once, and interestingly, that was at Kenilworth Road, where I thought, listen, it wasn't a smash and grab. There was no way that QPR deserved to win that game at Luton. That's their only victory this season. So that paints a pretty bleak picture. Again, I think, having only seen them the once, I've watched a lot of highlights and I speak to a lot of people and do a lot of reading. I'm not really enamored with the signings at the moment. And the hope has got to be these guys are going to improve as the season goes on. But, immediately the people in charge of the recruitment, at the moment look like they haven't pulled out too many gems, barring the goalkeeper, who, if it wasn't for him, Nardi, at the weekend and previously, this start could have been worse. I mean, that result could have been more handsome for Derby at the weekend. He made 2 outstanding saves. So he's probably a little bit disillusioned with things at the moment. I will caveat it a little bit with saying, not having the left-sided centre-half, Clark Salter, loses a great deal of security, I think, and the balance as well, because him and Cook, I think, give or take, will be a decent partnership at Championship level and proved that last season. The statistics doing the round that I think QPR have won 1 of the last 15 without Jake Clark-Salter and 1 of the last 15 when Colback's not in the team as well. So those two together in tandem are pivotal. Balance, bite. And I've seen flashes from Madsen. I've seen he scored at Luton, for example. I've seen flashes from Anderson last season. That is it's quite like Mailer at Hull, actually, in terms of technically efficient, quite reliable on the ball. But when you're coming up against a Derby team who are going to fight for every ball, who are going to compete, who are going to be aggressive in your faces, they've got to be on point. And I don't think QPR were at the weekend. It's too lethargic. It's too slow. And he's got a job in his hands now. And, we know how football can change so quickly. And it's so surprising to see him getting criticised because he walked on water last season, and rightly so. So I still believe that this is a really talented coach and he will be able to get a tune out of these players once they settle. But yeah, I'm not impressed with what I've seen. And hopefully, for QPR's sake, those guys can come back. I've already mentioned Ilias Chair can come back and be the player that we know he can be in the Championship.
Game changer, yeah.
Absolute game changer. Listen, I would imagine he's been at the club long enough and he's been consistent over a long enough period of time to think that when he's fit and firing, he will just be back to his old self. I don't see him being one that will be not angling for a move, but thinking that his near future lies somewhere else. I think he will be one that will turn it on for QPR and could be a big game changer. I suppose the striking thing, I mean, Frey in front of me at Kenilworth Road had his best game I think I've seen.
He won them the game, Sam.
By a distance, but he's not the answer. He's not the answer long term to get QPR to, I presume, where they want to be. So there's a few holes in the squad still, but I think the most important thing is they need to play with a little bit more intensity. They seem to be wanting the fullbacks to go central a little bit, probably to really get a handle of the midfield and possession and domination. I'd like to see probably a little bit more pace, a little bit more width, and probably try and emulate a little bit what Derby did to them at the weekend. So tough few weeks. No clean sheets in 11 either. So it's been a pretty disastrous start. And like Luton, probably a most welcome fortnight without a game.
Agree with pretty much every word you just said over the last few minutes. Get your thoughts in via the comments, especially if you're a QPR season ticket holder, home and away. Let us know your thoughts on A, what the hell's gone wrong compared to last season, and B, how is when it going to turn around. There's no games to preview, so no mouth-watering matchup, no look ahead. We'll round this out with the quiz. I think we're still level pegging in the quiz, which is beautifully curated by our mate Fev. FEV'S Football Analytics on Twitter, or at FEV'S Football. Sam, shall I answer first this week? Would that make sense?
No problem, mate. Yeah, you go for it. Okay. So
ask away, matey. I'll put the table up so viewers don't think I'm cheating what I'm looking at down here.
Okay, mate. Your question is, which teams have made the least substitutes this season?
What's the theory here then? Would good teams make less substitutions, or would the teams with the least money make the fewest substitutions? What's the theory? You're not fighting on this, are you?
I was thinking depth of squad.
Yeah.
So the teams with the biggest squads are going to make the more changes, but also the teams that are possibly having difficult starts to the season, the teams that are losing frequently, would make more, that are chasing results, chasing games, making multiple changes. That was the only thing I could think of as I was getting changed this morning.
I'm going to say that the process-driven managers make the fewest substitutions. So I'm going by the manager. So I'm going to say Bristol City.
They're not in there.
Damn. Okay, Leeds.
Leeds are not in there either.
Oh, my God. I get 4 guesses, don't I?
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is brutal. I'm going to go towards the bottom of the table then. Pompey.
Pompey are not there either.
Oh, you're effing kidding me.
I'll give you a clue here.
Please.
It's all these teams bar. I'd say 5 out of the 7 have had very good starts to the season.
Sheffield United.
No.
Oh, it's a washout. 0. It's a washout, Sam. All the best people didn't turn up. Right. Give me the list of the top 6.
That was probably the worst clue ever. But Burnley.
Right.
The 2 Northeast clubs, so Middlesbrough and Sunderland. Oxford. They were my 5 that have had. They were my 4 that have had good starts to the season. Would you concur?
Yeah, I'm just.
And then Millwall and Coventry.
Right. You only need
so
one.
The fewest subs, Sunderland, 26.
Okay. So disappointed with that. You only need 1 to beat me then, Sam. And your question. So remember what you've just said. Put your phone down. Which teams have made the most subs this season? You only need 1 to win this, Sam.
Luton.
No, I'm still in the game. Go on, guess number 2.
This is so random. Stoke.
No. Guess number 3.
Norwich.
No, you got 1 guess to beat me. It's sudden death, Sam.
I mean, there's 0 method to this, right? Have I said any of the teams that you've already said? I probably have. Right, let's think about this.
Come on, think about it. It's sudden death for the win, Sam. You competitive ex-footballer bloke.
Got no idea. Most subs.
Not much in it.
Sheffield United.
No, it's a washout. It's a draw. I can't believe.
Can I have one more guess just for the fun of it? Because I had
course.
someone else there that I was thinking. I have no idea actually. Norwich.
No.
Oh, what a
why are we so bad?
No, come on. That's the most random question. There's no logic to it, surely. Go on, give us the 5.
Sheffield Wednesday have made the most, joint with Derby.
I mean, come on.
That's not my fault.
I mean, yeah, I know, but come on.
Cardiff, West Brom, Hull was the is that the top 6? And QPR actually as well. Jesus Christ.
All right. So did you say Cardiff? I suppose you could say QPR and Cardiff are both toiling. Yeah. So maybe I should have gone for one of them, but yeah. Okay.
There you go. Amazing scenes to end the show.
I should have given you Cardiff, Portsmouth, QPR, Luton, Coventry, the bottom 5, basically, shouldn't I?
Basically, yeah. Thought it was a good show up until then, and then we stank it out. So look, guys, no predictions. Obviously, no preview ahead, but we will be back with another check-in podcast. We've got something up our sleeves for you next week, and we'll look at that. Sam, the work doesn't stop for you because you're about to jump in your motor and go and do another game, right?
Yeah, I don't imagine anyone's going to be missing football already, given its international break. But if you do want some live EFL football tonight. Bradford Newport is live, and I'm going to be working on that one this evening. Yeah.
Are you on Co-Coms again?
Yeah, Co-Coms. Yeah. So straight up the M1. And yeah, really looking forward to it. I only went to, I think, Bradford a couple of times as a player. I don't think I've been back to cover a game. So yeah, really looking forward to it. I think it's probably been a decade or so since I've been there, maybe even 15 years. So looking forward to it.
Well, safe travels, Sam. Thank everybody for watching. Get your views in the comments. Enjoy the international break. We will be back at some point. Probably, I don't know. We'll discuss it, Sam. We might go live on Monday or pre-record. We will let you know ahead of time, though, when we'll be back for the next championship check in podcast.